Come on, let's do it. Alright, I'm pretty psyched about today. It's Saturday, and it is October 30th. Tomorrow's Halloween. It'll be November by the time this show's up. But it's Saturday afternoon. I'm here in the Hudson Valley in New York State. It's a cold, gray, rainy kind of Saturday afternoon. Not cold, but we've had a relatively warm October. It's 51 degrees out now, I think, but with the gray sky and the rain, it feels even colder. There's a chill in the air. We're getting into soup, stew, chili, that whole season, which I love. So I'm going to make today a seafood stew based on the great Brazilian classic moqueca. Now, I've made true moqueca in the past by following recipes. I don't have everything, but I've made enough different fish stews in my life. Chopino, bouillabaisse, you name it, that the principles are all the same, okay? So this is going to be sort of an improv, loosely based on moqueca. So come on over to the marble. Let me show you what I have, and we'll put this yummy seafood stew together for a cold, rainy Saturday afternoon. Come on, let's do it. Come on, let's do it. All right, here we go. This is going to have shrimp and squid, because that's what I had in the freezer. Cleaned it out. I was going to add some fish. I had some of that haddock left from when we did fish and chips a few weeks ago. I had one piece left, and I took it out, thawed it, but I couldn't resist looking at that piece of fish. So I ran down to the basement, got a couple of potatoes, and did fish and chips again, because I love it so much. And I actually stole out 2 shrimp and a couple pieces of squid and batter fried those with it. So squid and shrimp, loosely based Brazilian fish stew, but our own version. I've got, now normally they would use onion. I've got my shallots here, and I'm going to use a mix of Dutch red, and I got a couple of French gray on the counter, so I'll use those. Of course, garlic, 20-25 garlic. Now I'm going to use peppers. These are matchbox peppers. These are sweet, okay? So this would take the place of like a green bell. These are not spicy. I do have a red cherry, minimal kick, and I am going to use a couple of these little sort of Thai bird styles because I like spice. If you're making it for company, you can watch your spice, but I don't mind the kick that those are going to give. Stock is key. This is back early in the summer. I had my annual visit from the professor and offspring from Maine, and they come down with fresh off the boat lobsters. Of course, we feasted on those lobsters, and I don't let anything go to waste, so I made a big pot of lobster shell stock. This is absolutely delicious. It had the garden leeks in it, all kinds of other stuff. This is the same. I just wanted a little bit more stock just in case. These were the ice cube frozen. I just took them out. Same exact stock, okay? Lobster shell. And I'm a little sentimental about this little tomato paste. This was also in the freezer. It's about 1/3 of a can left, so I get to use that up. Always love that. Now, here's where we veer from the Brazilian. Of course, coconut milk, which is key in moqueca. But they would generally use cilantro. You could substitute parsley. I don't have either of those 2 herbs at the moment. But I do have a nice summer basil plant still hanging in there up on the kitchen windowsill under some lamps. So I cut off the tops. As you can see, it's even starting to flower a little. So I'm going to try to keep that plant thriving through the winter. I'm going to use some basil leaves. And actually, I just looked up on the window. I also have a rosemary plant. I think we'll take just a few rosemary leaves too. But here's the thing. I'm sentimental about this stew because in here I have the absolute last, these were in the freezer, of my 2025 San Marzano Romas. Oh, so good. Even out of the freezer, they're like right out of the garden. This is going to make this moqueca style stew so tasty with the coconut milk, a little pepper spice, aromatics. Actually, I have some organic carrot. I will grab 1 carrot, non-garden. I like that this is all my stuff. But I have some market carrots, but they are organic. I'll put a little bit of carrot in for the sofrito style at the beginning. So this is going to be incredible. I've got prep to do. I'm chop all the veg. I've got to clean up all the fish. I'll take care of all that and see you over at the stove. All right, we're going to do this in the Dutch oven back here. I like this for these stews, particularly fish stews, because it's got a nice even heat. But also, as opposed to my big stainless pot, it's got about the same volume, maybe a little less, but it's got a smaller footprint on the bottom, which I like for something like this. So I'm going to do it in that. But before we do that, let's flavor up our stock. Here's all the fish, cleaned up nice, shrimp and squid. Let's get a little extra virgin in this pot, and what we're going to do is, we've got that lovely lobster stock, but I clean these up. I never want to waste those beautiful shells. So let's say saute those off a little in this extra virgin olive oil. Let it get a little heat on it. I like to drop these for a nice sizzle and get some color on them right away. Lobster stock over here. I was looking in the freezer. I was going to mix. I thought that these ice cubes were going to be chicken stock, but they're not. Sometimes I like to mix fish and chicken a little bit. All right, shells. We'll sizzle. Just let them get a little bit pink. Drop the cubes, put in the stock. That's it. Now, oh, great aroma. Now what I'll do is I'll flop these. Get the back flame on. There you go. So we'll let those ice cubes melt. Get our veg right here. Cast iron is on. We'll get a little oil in that. And we will start with... Oh, by the way, I made a couple of adjustments while the cameras were off. I was prepping. I showed you those different peppers. I used the yellow matchbox, which is the sweeter, but I dispensed with the cherry and those two little Thai hots because I realized I had a nice ripe red jalapeno on the counter. And in Brazil, they would more than likely use jalapeno. So we're going with that. All right, no sizzle yet, but that's okay. Let's get our onion, or in this case, shallot. I forgot I have leeks too. I was going to use the leeks, but all good. These shallots are delicious. So we'll start with the shallot, the two peppers, and the carrot. Once we get a sizzle on that for a minute or two. The other mind change that I did was I mentioned the rosemary, but that's only because I was looking up at the windowsill where the basil was. Rosemary to me is not the best for fish. So I ran out. I have some thyme out there. So we'll go fresh thyme and basil for this. All right, let's get these veg going. Cast iron takes a minute to draw heat. I should have had it on a little more, but it's okay. It's starting to sizzle now. It's starting to smell phenomenal. All right. Smells incredible. Shallot, carrot, and the two peppers. All right, this is starting to warm up. Let's see what we got here. The lobster shell stock is so deep. I had leeks in there. I think I had carrots. Oh my God, that is good. All right, now we can add our garlic. Give that a minute. While that's finishing, I'm going to rinse these spoons because honestly, I don't remember which one I tasted out of. I did put out an invite. I doubt it's going to happen in case somebody else comes to enjoy. And I didn't want to dip that into the tomato paste. So these are now clean. Let's get our tomato paste in there. Just going to use what's left in the can. A couple tablespoons. It was about a third of that can. I have another unopened one in the pantry. I love when I get to finalize and utilize things that I had put aside earlier. This was in the freezer. Alright, that I know is the clean / tasting spoon. Here's the dipping spoon. Braise the tomato paste a little. Yeah, because now this is getting hotter. And if I taste it with this, I'll get a little of that tomato in there. Yeah. Incredible. Alright, toast the tomato paste. We'll add in these San Marzanos, the end of the summer San Marzanos. I got a handful on the counter. They'll probably ripen, but not enough to make a sauce, so I've been using them in salads and whatnot. When I said the last of the tomatoes, this is the last of San Marzano sauce I have. I have a couple of whole, I like to freeze them whole. I have a couple of big Goldies and that other red beefsteak, just frozen whole in the bag. I use them for something in the dead of winter. Alright, tomatoes are in. This is a good time to salt. Black pepper. Gonna get some smoked paprika. A little bit of cumin. Get that Brazilian vibe going. And, oh, I almost forgot. I have some, well, this is going to cook for a while, but I do have some rice ready to go. So let me get that on. And this is a short grain rice. I think it was either maybe a sushi rice. It's just whatever I had. Typically, this would be a medium or long grain for the Brazilian stew. But again, we're improvising. Let's see what we got here before we add the stock. This is just the aromatic veg, tomatoes, spices. Oh. The braised tomato paste adds this incredible depth underneath the brightness of the garden San Marzanos. It's a phenomenal mixture. Okay, I think now we can add our stock. And we've got the shells in there, so what I'm going to do, turn off that heat. That's hot. Handle, get a towel here. I'm just going to strain it right in. With all of that stock. We've got a good amount of fish. Yeah, looks perfect. Let's give this a stir. Oh, the lobster stock. Seasoned up by the shrimp shells. This is going to be, oh, nice kick from the jalapeno. And don't forget, it's not an unbearable kick. It's a nice spice, but don't forget, it's then going to get tempered down by the sweet coconut milk. So I'm going to turn the heat down on this a little. Let it simmer for a few because I have to get the leaves off the thyme. I already cleaned it. It's growing outside and it's raining, so it did have a little kick up dirt on it, but it's cleaned up. I'm going to get the leaves off the stems, chop them up. We'll get that and the basil in. So, camera off. See you in a few. Let's get our green in there. This is the basil and thyme. And I did chop also the flowers of the basil. They pack a nice deep flavor. Concentration. I like to dry the flowering tops and use them in the winter. You crush those. Let's give this another taste, and then we're going to turn it down. Check for salt here. Pepper, cumin, etc., etc. Oh, that is good. A little bit of salt. I'm just thinking now, too late. But I do have anchovy in the fridge. A little anchovy smashed in with the aromatics would have been nice. But also, not really a part of moqueca. I just like to think when I'm improvising. The jalapeno is giving us a beautiful kick that is going to marry just perfectly when we add the coconut milk in our fish. So I'm just going to simmer this for 10-12 minutes like so. And then we'll wrap it up. See you in a few. Okay, we're halfway through the simmer. Another thing I spaced on, let's get a little lemon in there. The traditional Brazilian stew would have lime juice. So again, we're improvising. We're coming close, but no cigar. That was one of my dad's favorite expressions. Close, but no cigar. All right, let's see what the lemon acid did to this. And I think we can just about wrap this up. On top of the heat with the tomato, that's beautiful. Glad I remembered that. Oh, it's amazing what acids do to dishes. A little bit of vinegar or lemon in any dish just does something really hard to describe. All right, that's been on a good 15, I think. So let's add our squid first. Let that cook just a minute or two, and then we'll follow with the shrimp. Now, traditionally, this would be an actual fish stew. There would be nice chunks of cod or a nice white fish. I'm just using what was in the house here. I had it super low. I'm going to bring the heat up. Start with the squid. I'm going to add the coconut milk. With all that nice coconut fat in there. That's where the sweetness lays. Try it now with the coconut milk on top of that lemon juice. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Let this simmer just a few. Give that squid a head start, and then I'm gonna add in the shrimp and just let it simmer down for 5, 6, 7 minutes. Here we go. All right, I'll give this 5, 6 minutes and we'll plate her up. That's the rice. Flame off, we'll let the rice sit 10 minutes or so, and then we'll plate her up. That's perfect timing, actually. Let's do this. I'll call it Fauxqueca. Not quite moqueca. Close enough to me. Let's get some in this bowl. Get some squid in there. I'm going to get another shrimp. Turns out, looks like we're not going to have a visitor. I was hoping they were going to come, but I don't blame them. I know what it's like on a gloomy, gray, rainy, chilly day like this. I don't like jumping in the car either. One more shrimp. I'll go for 3. Plenty of squid in there. I got a couple of heads. And let's take our rice. Came out perfect. A little ice cream scoop of rice. This is the least Brazilian part. I'm going with basil. A couple of thyme leaves. I do not have cilantro or parsley. Either would have been more moqueca-ish. But I'm not crying about it. That's for sure. Get these fresh herbs on. It is hot. Let's give it a try. A little rice with broth. Oh man. On a day like today, are you kidding me? Fauxqueca, baby. Brazilian fish stew. Tomatoes, coconut milk, shrimp. I didn't even eat a fish yet. Here's a little squid ring. Perfect. Al dente. Chewy without being rubbery. Gulf shrimp. Hot. That lobster shell stock, man. It's running through like an undercurrent through the aromatics, the garlic, shallot, carrots, little spice from the jalapeno, but the coconut milk kind of just washed that right away, so you just get this little like zing. This is phenomenal. I'll see you all for the next episode. Come on, let's do it. Fauxqueca, man, look at this. This is going to get me through the weekend. It's Thursday. I am set.